So you're starting your fat loss journey, and the first thing to do is getting your diet together. You look up what's the best diet to use, and you're bombarded by people telling you it's gotta be intermittent fasting, or it's gotta be veganism, or else you're a bad person. Or if you don't use keto, you may as well not try. You want it to diet. You don't want to become an acolyte of a really rigid structure that if you stop doing it and you eat outside your fast window or you don't eat something keto, you feel bad about all of a sudden. So how can we come up with a plan that's a lot more flexible and allows you to succeed while incorporating part of the reasons that some of these other diets work? Let's dive into it. I'm going to demystify the following diets that I talked about. It's really hard to gain weight on keto because you'd have to eat a lot of steak and chicken. And let me tell you, it fills you up quickly. It's really hard to gain weight when you're vegan because you're just eating beans and broccoli. And man, really hard to overeat that. And if you're just eating in an 8-hour window, well, you're not going to be super hungry after you've had your first, second, third meal in that window, so it's hard to overeat. What these diets do so well is they create constraints that naturally make it so that you're in a calorie deficit. You're consuming less than you burn each day. But what they don't do super well is they create a super rigid structure that if you fall out even a little bit, you might feel like you've fallen outside of the wagon and it's not worth sticking to. So how can we reap the benefits of having a really well-structured plan that makes your day-to-day seamless in that, it's just going to be automatic what I eat. I don't have to think about that, because that's where these diets really shine, without having all the rigidity that comes with them. I encourage you to design a plan that works backwards from foods you enjoy, instead of one of these off-the-shelf diets telling you just eat chicken. For instance, let's say you love having omelets and you love having sandwiches. You can create healthy versions of those. For your omelet, you could just have it with egg whites, bell peppers, and onions instead of full eggs, cheese, and bacon. For your sandwich, you could switch out the bread for lower calorie bread alternatives. Maybe take the mayo off, maybe use mustard, and bingo, bango, bongo, you got yourself a pretty healthy sandwich. So the best way to have a diet plan is not to take someone else's work, but to work from the fundamental principles of what are foods that will satisfy me and fill me up. Once you've identified those, you say, okay, I now plan and commit to eat those foods for breakfast, lunch, and dinner each day so that you have a good structure and it's easy to follow. And that lets you learn about the foods you like. It lets you experiment. Maybe a mix of plant and animal foods is best. Maybe a mix of some intermittent fasting on some days works for you. It lets you learn about macronutrients, and that sets you up not just for success in this first diet you're doing, but for success in long-term fitness and health. Because instead of having someone do your homework for you and tell you to just be keto, you've now dived into what's the calorie content of food like. You've learned about how to eat things in a healthy way, and you've created mastery and personalization through your own plan that's really gonna make you feel like you own the process and give you a framework for what to do when the diet ends. Because when that keto switch turns off and you've lost 20 pounds and you go back to your old habits, all the weight's gonna come back on. But if you've learned about what food does for you and the content of different foods, creating your own plan, you're gonna be able to keep that weight off in the long run and be really happy with your results.